Adobe's just dropped some new features into Lightroom Classic and Camera RAW. We're going to take a look at them right now. So we're going to start in Lightroom Classic and then we're going to jump into Camera RAW. Some of these are brand new and some of them been around for a little while, but I haven't really covered them. All right, so let's start with a Lightroom Classic, and the big one everyone's been asking for is the mask refinements. Let me show you how this works. So in the develop module, we're going to grab the masking tool. Now I'm just going to grab the object selection and I just want to select all this foreground area. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint over here and, just kind of say, hey, this is what I want to select. And it's going to make a selection. So not a brand new feature, but recent as they've improved the selections significantly. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this exposure and I'm just going to turn it way too high so we can see these fringes and the edges. So I'm going to go to 100%. And grab the space bar and we're just going to drag down. And if we look here, you can see it's gone over the edges. So now it's quite easy to fix this. You'll notice that we've got the select objects and we have feather and edge. These were recently introduced to Camera RAW. Now they're here in Lightroom Classic. So it looks like we need to change the edge. So as we move to the left, what it does is it just shrinks the edge. Just like selection contract in Photoshop, or selection expand would go the other way. So all we need to do is just move that edge until it's right where we want it. So we don't have any black edges or white edges. And then of course the feather would enable us to soften that. In this case, we don't really need to soften it much, maybe just a tiny touch. All right, now obviously this is way over processed. We're going to bring it back down a little bit. And now we can apply just the amount of the adjustment that we want. Of course, we can always manually mask those. I've got another tutorial on that. I show you how to refine it. And then of course, if we wanted to grab this area over here, why don't we just create a new mask? Because I want to be able to use separate edges on the different areas. I'm going to choose select landscape. Let's grab the vegetation, create mask, and we're about to adjust this. Now there's another way that we can look at this mask. And that's if we choose show overlay, and then change this to a image on black and white. We can see those white edges very clearly. And then we can just bring those edges in a little bit. And notice when it doesn't get it all, that's no problem. What we're going to do is under here, we're going to choose subtract, grab a brush. I've done a separate tutorial on this, so check it out. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it here. So we're going to choose auto mask, and then we just simply just go around these edges here. All right, and we can see that these are still not perfect, but it doesn't matter because this is an overlay. So if we go back to our regular color overlay, so if we turn our overlay off, make reasonable adjustments, you can see that those edges are looking great. For more on how I refined that later, check out my previous tutorial. I'll actually link to that at the end for you. And so the next feature is the ability to render as a DNG. So this enables us to take an image with a lot of adjustments and masks and just kind of render this into a brand new image. All right, so you might ask, why not just create a virtual copy? Well, if I create a virtual copy, it's still going to have all these masks in different areas. And when you get a real complicated image with a lot of masks, sometimes it can be kind of difficult to just kind of work on a fresh canvas. So let me show you what I mean. So we're just going to right click and we're going to choose render to DNG. And here we have the rendered version right here. So if we look at the adjustments, notice everything is zeroed out. So now I can start experimenting with different masks and I don't have to worry about the clutter of a ton of different masks. Also, if I don't like it, I still have the original file to go back to. So another example could be where you want to get a little bit more out of a slider, such as a highlight slider. So you bring it highlights all the way. It's fully there, but you really wish you could just recover them a little bit more. So in this case, all we need to do is just need to render this as a DNG. And then you'll see the file name says rendered. So because everything's reset now, I can take that highlight slider and now I can use it more and boom, look at that. And now I can continue to do the rest of my edits with that nice kind of sky that I wanted in there. And if you're getting any value out of this video, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. You won't miss any of my videos. All right, I'm going to open all of these into Camera Raw. So I'm just going to start from Bridge, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to choose to open in Camera Raw. Okay, let's look at the first one, and that's automatic blemish removal. So if we go to the Remove tool, and then where we see the Remove tool, these are all the things that we can remove. Remember, it started with reflections, then it was like people, then dust. Now we have blemishes. And if we choose Apply, so it's going to analyze the picture and find all the blemishes for us. So here we can see where they've all been picked up here. And if I move out, we can see, all right, those blemishes are being removed. Now we can go and refine if we want, and we can manually add or remove different ones. But also we have control over things like acne versus, freckles and different things like that. Say, for example, there's a freckle here on her shoulder. And if we use the fade, move it to the left, see it leaves more things in here. Move it to the right, and then it's going to get more aggressive and take away everything, including all the freckles and moles and different things like that. So you're just going to kind of dial this in where you feel comfortable with it. But if you look at this, before, after, just one quick click. So here's one that's very interesting, and this has got some updates, and this is the Generative Expand. Now you can use this without using AI at all, or you can choose to use it. Let me show you exactly how it works. We're going to go to the Crop tool, and you can see the Crop tool is constrained to the edges of this photograph. All right, and so this will work on a regular photo, or it will work on a panorama, which is what we happen to have here. If I zoom out, you'll see. And then when you do the panorama, you get this area around here, and generally it gets cropped off. Now we can choose Enable Expand, and we can expand this. Now, this works on a regular photograph. It doesn't have to be a panorama, but I just think a panorama is a great use case for it. In fact, I don't think we want to extend it that way. But this other way, we definitely do. Look at that. We would have missed the edge of that rock. Now, we want to fill up these edges. There's two options we can do. We can use 5.5 Fill and Expand, or in this case, I'm going to use Content Aware Fill, where we're not even going to be using any generative AI, and we're just going to choose Generate. And notice now it will expand this, and we've got our expanded image. But we also have the ability here to do it with generative AI now. So if I choose the Crop tool, and I choose Enable Expand, so here's a regular photograph, and maybe I want to expand a little bit on the bottom here. So I'm dragging it off on the bottom. So in a situation like this, we know that Content Aware Fill can't really get that. So we can use the Generative Expand. We change it to Firefly, Fill and Expand, and then choose Generate. Now this will use generative credits. It expands this, and we've got 3 variations that we can choose from. Now be aware, we can use this with or without generative AI, depending on how you want to work. And the next feature I want to show you is the bidirectional gradient. I actually created a tutorial to show you how to do this in Lightroom, because this is not there yet, but check that tutorial out. But let's have a look at how this works here in Camera Raw. So if we choose a mask, and then we choose a linear gradient, we can drag this gradient out. So maybe we want to create, I don't know, a beam of light somewhere. So we're going to brighten this area up. Great, but the problem is it's going all the way up there. So if we change this to bidirectional, now we can control the 2 sides independently. And we can also control the feather by hitting these little arrows. And this is a newer feature. So we can control how that feather works on each side of that gradient. And let me just bring that one out a little bit. Might give that a little bit of sunlight. And then we can add that. Now, of course, if you wanted to take away from the bushes, that's easy enough. You just go to the mask here. There, we can just choose Subtract. We could use things like the brush or Select Object. Let's just choose Select Object. And we'll take it away from these bushes here. There we go. And now I've just got our beam of light going through our valley. The next new feature I want to show you is to reveal the focal point, because sometimes we take photographs and we're in the studio, we take hundreds of photos and we say, hey, maybe I like this photo, but where is the focal point? Did we hit the eyes or not? Let's have a look. Right click, and then you're going to see show autofocus points. And we can see, as I suspected, we missed the eye, we got the neck. So we might want to choose a different photo out of that selection that has better focus. And by the way, this stays persistent, so we can just turn that off or it'll show in every photo. Now, the last thing I want to show you is quite interesting, and it is a Vectorscope. So if we go up onto our histogram and we right-click and we show the Vectorscope. Now, I am familiar with these. I've been using them for a while because these have been around a long time in video. In fact, way back in the analog days, I actually used to have a physical Vectorscope I would work with, and we would use them for color balancing. So essentially, what we've got here is we've got a wheel. So as we go around, it shows the hue or the particular color. So as this is pushing here, you can see that the majority of this image is pushing here into the oranges. And that's because of a lot of the yellow here in the helicopter. And if you look at a color here, this is actually yellow. So those areas there are pushing into the yellow. So it shows the hue. As they go further out, they're more saturated. As they come in, they're less saturated. And we used to use these for fine-tuning the saturation and the hue on video. So let me show you this in action, and then I'm going to show you how to kind of use it on skin tones. All right, so basically watch this. So here's blue on this side, which is cooler colors. On this side is warmer colors. As I push this, notice how the Vectorscope moves this into the blue area. As we go the other way, it moves it into oranges. So think about this. What a histogram is for tonality, a Vectorscope is for color. And watch what happens when I do saturation. As I increase the saturation, see how that spreads out? Decrease the saturation, it gets sucked in. So this is also useful because if you see things on the edge, and especially when it goes over, you know those colors are clipping and you're going to have to pull back the saturation on those. All right, let me just quickly show you a practical use. I'm just going to do this quickly. It's not going to be perfect. But one of the things you can do is notice this little gap here. This is showing skin tones. So all the skin tones are going to fall within this region. Now we've got all kinds of things in the photo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate the skin tones, make the adjustment, and then go across the photo. Now, could you just hit automatic or change the white balance to fix this photo? Yes, you probably could. But I want to show how this Vectorscope works. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to a mask, and then we're going to grab the people, and this isolates the different parts. We're going to grab facial skin and body skin. So that's most of the skin in the image. And we're going to let it go into one mask. So don't turn that on. Choose Create. Now that we have the mask, the Vectorscope is showing just what's in the mask. So if we look at this, notice it's mostly into the blues. You can see that's blue right there. It's also kind of moving into the magentas a little bit. We can see that. So what we need to do is we need to move this across. So if I look at the blues to yellow, see there, we need to slide it along that line. So we're going to take the temperature and we're going to slide it along so it moves more into those yellows. And you want to get it about in the middle of this area here. So that's looking pretty good. If we look at the skin tone, that's looking much better. Everything else, don't worry about it. So we're just going to do the temperature, plus 72. So the next thing we're going to do is just going to take this mask, and we're just going to delete it. Remember, plus 72. Let's go to the adjustment. And now we want to adjust the entire image. Just go to temperature. We're going to change this to 72. It's a little bit bright, so let's bring the exposure down a little bit. I feel like it does need to move over that way a little bit, which is towards the magenta. See how it's kind of leaning a little bit towards the greens? So let's take that tint, move it a little bit towards the magenta. See how it's evening up here inside the scope. And if we look at the image, before and after. Now, yes, there's other ways I could have done the color correction, but I think this kind of helps you understand how the Vectorscope works. And if you want to see more about how I refined that mask earlier on, check out this video right here. And let me know in the comments if you learned anything new in this video. And if you're new or you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. You won't miss any of my tutorials. And until next time, I'll see you at the cafe.